And I think that it's important material that we're skipping, and probably we need to come back to it. But it's also the kind of stuff that only real language geeks like me really enjoy, and students usually find it not so interesting. In other words, morphology and syntax. So already I can see eyes glazing over. So we're going to skip that for the time being. I hope we'll come back to it because it is important. But for right now, we're going to take up a new unit which basically falls under the category of semantics. Okay, so what do we mean by semantics? What is semantics? Now there's a technical linguistic meaning, and there's a general English meaning, which isn't the meaning we're using. When we say, oh, that's a semantic difference, basically what we're saying in normal, everyday English is, that's not important. It's just a semantic difference, right? You're familiar with this use of the term? That's not what we're talking about here. Okay, so don't think that semantics is an unimportant part of linguistics. So what is semantics? It's the study of meaning. That's it exactly. Semantics is the study of meaning. It can operate at two levels, the word level and the sentence level. Okay? So semantics is the study of meaning. And if you think about language in the way that we started this course, thinking about it, communication systems, one of the important functions of language is to convey meanings, right? That's kind of really central to the whole idea of language. Of course, meanings can be of different kinds. And the first kind that we discussed in the course is pragmatic meaning, right? The meaning of an utterance in a context. And so semantics is not that kind of meaning. Semantics is basically sentence meaning, or at least the aspect of semantics that we're going to look at is much more sentence meaning than word meaning. Okay? So what do sentences mean? So if you remember, way back in the first day of class, we divided all of linguistics into usage and use. Remember that? Use includes use in context, pragmatics. Usage includes sentence semantics, phonology, the way words are formed, the way sentences are formed, syntax. Okay, so we're on the usage side of the spectrum of linguistic study when we're talking about semantics. However, I hope that you find this really interesting. I'll have to say, when I first read Lakoff and Johnson's book back as a graduate student, like 700 years ago, I thought it was extremely jazzy, really, really interesting. And I'm hoping that you will also get that. Okay, so to begin our unit on semantics, I want to give you two sentences, and I want you to tell me what they mean. My teacher is a bear. So what does the sentence mean? That's the first one. It means something like, my teacher is a large hairy animal that lives in a cave in Hokkaido and sleeps through the winter, right? Not really. Couldn't mean that. I mean, that's, we have a sort of a disconnect here, because bear has, the basic meaning of bear means a non-human animal, right? And the basic meaning of teacher is some kind of human. So it couldn't, they don't fit, doesn't work. So what does the sentence mean?
Teacher is like
It means my teacher is like a bear, or like a bear in the ways that we think of bears. For example, what do we think of bears as being? Big. Well, okay. What else? Hairy. Does this sentence really say my teacher is hairy? Not really. In fact, you could have a bald, well, you do have a bald teacher almost, but you could have a completely bald teacher, and you could still say my teacher is a bear. If one of your peers says to you, oh, that guy, now I took his class, or her class even, it could be a female, right? Last semester, and that teacher is a bear. What do you think about that? Frightening. Frightening.
Intimidating.
Intimidating. Why?
Because bears are as well.
Okay, so bears are frightening and intimidating. In what way is this teacher frightening or intimidating?
Probably like the work she assigns.
Lots of work, very strict standards, tough on grading. Yeah, these kinds of ideas. Yeah? Strict, fierce, hard to get along with, something like that. Right? That's what the sentence really means. It does not mean, oh, last semester I took a course from a large hairy animal right after that animal came out of hibernation in a cave in Hokkaido. It doesn't mean that. Okay? So what we have to say is that this sentence means something that's not just the meaning of the words. There's something different here. So in other words, we're going to say we've got a literal meaning, yeah, which is my teacher hibernates in the wintertime in a cave in Hokkaido as a large hairy animal. And what other kind of meaning would we be talking about?
Implied.
Implied, could say, or the opposite of literal is usually
Figurative.
figurative. In other words, the sentence doesn't mean what it appears on the surface to mean. There's a figurative meaning. Bear doesn't really mean it's direct referent to that animal. It means something else. Okay? So we've got or to put it another way, this sentence cannot be processed as a meaningful sentence that says something true about the world if you view it literally, because it's nonsense in that case. In order to be meaningful, it has to be understood as figurative.